Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to episode number 59 of the Still City Insider podcast. Hey, Jim, it's the Ray May episode. Linebacker out of USC, 1967. Or is there another guy who wore 59?
Yeah, let's introduce Matt Cecil to drop that bomb for us.
Matt Cecil's with us.
His first name, wasn't there a Jack, I don't know. I can't place it. 59.
Yeah. Little Jack Ham, right? But I thought we would go old school back to 67, the linebacker to wear 59 before Jack Ham. Ray May, little history lesson. We're with the insider himself, so hopefully he's proud of me with that one. But this is episode. Go ahead.
How about the guy who wore the uniform 1 year after Jack Ham?
Who was that?
Pod Seaball.
Wow.
Yeah, it didn't go over well in Pittsburgh, right?
That's, as a music aficionado, Jim, that's a deep cut right there.
Well, Ray May. It's not Ray May, but it's
awesome. Well, we are very excited for all of you joining us here today on episode number 59. We have a lot to cover, lots of moves, a bounty of riches for the Steelers in free agency. And if you are following the work of these two gentlemen here, Jim and Matt on the Still City Insider, great stuff. A lot of great coverage here of these free agents. Check that out at the Still City Insider. And real fast before I forget, and Jim yells at me, check out On the Clock. It is a phenomenal book.
It is.
Yeah, I read it, and wow. I mean, especially leading up to draft time, those 90s teams, Steelers teams, that's when I was growing up and getting to know the Steelers tradition and to relive that. Jim really captures that. So, Jim, you want to talk about the book a bit?
Well, let me just interject before we get. I mean, we're also going to talk about the draft outlook. I think that's the part Matt and I are really looking forward to getting into, because free agency has changed the draft outlook right now. So that's exciting to talk about. We'll get to that. Let me get the book stuff out of the way. And there's a lot of good Jack Ham stuff, because he played high school ball in Central PA, was a nobody. Bad Radakovich scouted him for Penn State a couple times. Didn't remember. He scouted somebody else. Did not remember watching Jack Ham twice. Wow. And so there was some good Jack Ham stuff in there that a lot of people don't know about. But anyway, I was at the Canton Library, Canton Hall of Fame. I was researching for my next 2-3 books. And there was an older gentleman. I know I'm an older gentleman, but this was an older gentleman. He asked me, he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm researching for some books. He goes, have you written any? I said, yeah, 5. And he goes, what have you done? And I told him, I did a Polamalu biography. He goes, I just read that. That was really good. I liked the style. He told me 3 times he really liked it before he left. So I was very proud. I'm still proud. And I had to brag about it. But you can get that book at my site for half off, jimwexell.com.
I mean,
done with selling.
Hey, I'm gonna sell it too, because Polamalu is great. You know, and I told you this before, man. You're like an artist. you really got a skill there that you've developed. So, and for you Steeler fans, I bought the book for a friend of mine, so it's a good gift too. On the Clock, man. For us draft nerds out there, man, it's a great read. So,
thank you, Matt.
100%.
Your column yesterday morning was a great read too. So let's get into the good stuff now.
All right, let's get into the good stuff. So we're going to talk about how the draft strategy for the Pittsburgh Steelers has been altered as a result of the signings of the free agents.
Let's talk about the free agents.
Yeah. Yep. So let's run through the list here. So when we were on here the last time, we know that they signed Patrick Peterson, Nate Herbig, DeMonte Casey, but since then, Cole Holcomb, inside backer, they picked up out of Washington, and then Elandon Roberts, inside backer, out of Miami. And then I'm going to butcher this last name. I struggle with pronunciations. Issac Seumalo. Did I get it right or no?
Well, the Polynesian names are really easy if you look at them. I wrote them down on paper because I keep thinking Kiamatu, but he's way better than Kiamatu. Issac Seumalo. I mean, every letter in Polynesian names is pronounced, so it's easy. Seumalo.
And then just recently, James Pierre is going to return on a 1-year deal, so they signed one of their own. But a lot of movement. We have an entirely new inside linebacking unit, which that's probably to the happiness of all Steelers Nation out there. But then also some big moves on the offensive line. Let's talk about these free agent signings. Matt, Jim, your thoughts.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about, I like the fact that they sign leaders and captains, so, and I don't want to backtrack too far, but, Jim, we were kind of debating the Cam Sutton thing, and I've been thinking about it. It's probably a smarter deal. I think going into the free agency, you see the amount of guys that they're adding, where you get this market value on the first or second day. You got an average player that's a solid number 2, but you're paying them above average money. And I think with Cole Holcomb, he's a guy that kind of fell under my radar a little bit, because we were saying Bobby Okereke, and we were saying like Jermaine Pratt, and maybe $7 or $8 million. I think the Steelers had a $6 million a year cap spot, like 3 years, $18 million. Cole Holcomb fit in that window, and then you get Roberts. You get for $2.5 million.
You talked about the captains. Tell me about the captains. Go into that.
Just, I think, you look at Holcomb being a walk-on in North Carolina and then working himself into an athlete. I think when you got guys that come into a franchise, I think of Albert Hainsworth, right? You don't want guys that are just not great for the locker room. You want guys that are going to come in and fall in line and then uplift the culture and uplift the group. So I think those guys fit each other well. One of the things about the linebackers, I don't think it's easy to find a unicorn out there. So you're going to have guys who does really well in coverage out there, right? Like with Tremaine Edwards, maybe, but like it's going to be hard to find that.
Jack
so you
Ham.
just get, you're getting guys that are sideline to sideline. What's that?
Jack Ham.
Jack Ham. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of unicorns, yeah.
Right. So you got guys that can stop the run, that are smart dudes, that are going to work hard. So I mean, I'm all for that so far. Those were solid signings in my opinion.
I wrote a note down. I came across this. Leaders don't create more followers. They create more leaders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's some philosophy right there.
Well, here's another one I wrote down. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
That's awesome.
I thought Matt would like that.
Oh yeah.
And also, I'm having a hard time reading. Pick up more broccoli and ghee. Okay, that's my shopping list.
You're getting existential in here. Wow. So when we look at these inside backers, great leadership qualities. They're going to be paired with Mark Robinson. We know we've moved on from Devin Bush. Robert Spillane is now out of the picture. So when we look at these signings, we look at what they have in Robinson, second-year player. Is there still a need to draft an inside backer? That's the first question. The second question is, do they draft an inside linebacker?
Not
I'd like to know Matt's opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, not till late, I don't think. I think they have 3 on the roster. They're going to need a 4th. So with those 2 7th-round picks, I mean, one of them possibly, but I just don't see it at least in the first 3 rounds, because you sign a guy for 3 years like Holcomb, you're expecting him to start at least a year, maybe 2, unless things just fall off where he has a ton of injuries and you got to move on. I mean, you're drafting him to be the starter for the next at least 2-3 seasons. So I don't really see, with Robinson in the fold and Roberts there kind of in front of him, making sure that Robinson is ready, I just don't see it in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah. I'd like to see a later guy like Ivan Pace. He's only 5'10".
Right.
We tried 5'10" and wasted a first-round pick and more on 5'10". Ivan Pace from Cincinnati, I want pure instincts.
Sure.
I'm very scared, and thankfully they signed some linebackers, but I'm very scared that Tomlin's going to call on Trenton Simpson at Clemson because of his 40 time, his run and hit ability. He loves that out of his MAC backers.
He does.
Timmons was his very first pick. And, he became good, and Shazier became great, but Bush, and, I don't see it in Trenton Simpson. I want pure instincts. And Ivan Pace of Cincinnati, he's short.
Yeah.
he is just a magician as a tackler. I don't know how much you guys have watched of him, but that's the kind of guy you get later because he's short, but he's a pit bull. Sure. And the other guy, I haven't watched film, but what I've heard and the numbers, the tackles numbers, Dorian Williams from Tulane. That's a guy you might be able to get in the 6th round too. So that's what I'm thinking about. But I'm glad that inside linebacker is off the table for the most part, especially premium picks.
Yeah.
Right. Because most of these guys can't cover anyway. I mean, we were talking about this before, but if the guy runs 4.4, 4.5, but he's 240 pounds, it's hard for them to change direction and stay with these receivers that are quick.
That's still tempting. That's still tempting. 4.4 and 240.
The one thing that I think that we can at least look forward to is you've got almost a completely new room there at inside backer. So for better or for worse, we're going to see a change in the type of performance on the field. Now, will it be for the better? It should. Logically, these are signings that, you look at that Miami connection there. How much of a handprint did Brian Flores maybe have to say, hey, Coach T, check out Elandon Roberts? So, maybe these are two pieces that are going to help really solidify the interior of this run game. Now, if they could just find a big man to play nose in the draft,
Well, I was just looking at some tape of Keanu Benton from Wisconsin because I tweeted today that the 1st round pick, my prediction, the way I see it, is Darnell Wright, the right tackle from Tennessee at 17, Deonte Banks, the press man corner sprinter from Maryland, the cornerback at 32, and Mozzie Smith, the nose tackle from Michigan, sometimes nose tackle. He moved all around. At 49, and somebody responded Keanu Benton is more likely at 49, and I thought, Wisconsin, boy, they love Wisconsin. They play the same scheme as the Steelers. Keanu Benton, they looked at him at Senior Bowl. I watched tape. No, there's no way he goes in the 2nd round. And I watched tape of Ohio State, so I watched the best, and they pushed him all over the field.
Really?
At the goal line, he got driven back. That Ohio State center handled Mozzie Smith pretty well, too. Who is the Ohio State center? Give me some of that.
Yeah, Whippler.
Is he up? Is he in for the draft?
Yeah, 3rd round kind of projection there.
Boy, I tell you, he handled both of those guys. Now, Mozzie Smith is kind of dull, but he's stronger, and he commanded more double teams.
Yeah.
And so there was more respect from opposing teams. And he played hard all the way through. There's some questions about character because of the incident he had where he was arrested, but that he was speeding and he had a unregistered gun and he was getting his paperwork done.
Yeah, it was about a week away.
Yeah. So I can write that off. He is a defensive nose tackle.
He was
I'm not looking for a choir boy at that position.
Right, but he was a captain.
He was a captain.
Yeah. So you see his body transform from when he came in there. I mean, he is a freak show, and it's all chronicled. Bruce Feldman's #1 freak, but I mean,
if somebody drafts him before 49, that's okay. I wasn't that impressed with him.
Yeah,
right. But I think you get him around Cam Hayward, and you get him around those professionals that can groom him a little bit. There's so much upside there physically. That he's got the athletic ability to play nose, but also play, in sub package, and I think that's rare to find too. I like him at 32. I mean,
I don't. That's too rich for me. I want to get a corner. I got to get a corner because I want Patrick Peterson teaching somebody or two.
Right. I like Darnell Wright too, and but I think if Porter can be there, I think that would be the way to go. Or, I think even possibly Witherspoon. I think the way it's set up, to me, it would be like, all right, corner or tackle, and then you get the best one. And then I think there's 3 defensive linemen there. We're talking about maybe Keon White, though he's 24, 25 years old. He just ran between 4.65 and 4.75 at 285 pounds, 34-inch arms, strong. I'm watching him at the combine going, oh my God, this dude dropping into coverage. He looks like a linebacker at 285. He can move. I mean, he's raw. He got greasy.
He's stiff too, and they need a nose tackle.
And they need a nose tackle. So I think,
I think you're going to get a run stuffer.
Yeah.
I
you
do
can get
too.
those. You can get those later.
Yeah. And they typically, I mean, at the nose position, you could get a guy who can come in and contribute right away because they're not in their base defense high percentage of the time with the passing games that they're facing here. But kind of pivoting a bit. So we talked about inside backer. We talked about Seumalo at the outset, but a lot of work done here on the offensive line. Nate Herbig, who we referenced last week. But now Seumalo, you have to think that he's slated for that left guard position. Maybe that's the end for Kevin Dotson. Kendrick Green is just an afterthought at this point. But hearing talk about, and again, this is probably just whatever rumor, just generating content, but James Daniel potentially moving to center. I don't see that, but they still have a need at tackle. Let's talk about the offensive line, its current state now with these additions. What work is still left to be done? And it seems to be a center-rich draft.
Yeah. One of the things I didn't put in the piece, Jim, and I wanted to, was I think with Weidl, and this could be just coincidence, we could talk about it, but when he was with Philly and he drafted Landon Dickerson and he played center for Alabama, and Seumalo played 23 games. That's what I found in the research. I certainly didn't watch Oregon State, but according to what I found, 23 games at center for Oregon State. So you had Jason Kelsey, Dickerson, Seumalo. They all are centers. They're all smart dudes. They're like quarterbacks of the offensive line. Is that a coincidence? I don't know, maybe, but like he then drafted the kid out of Nebraska last year, maybe to take over for Kelsey, but now he's going to move in Philly at right guard for Seumalo. Point is, the Steelers now have Mason Cole, they have Daniel, and now they have Seumalo. All those guys played center in college, so you're getting a very smart interior line. I think that's positive.
But this is a great draft for centers, and I don't see them drafting one now.
Maybe Whippler in round 3. I don't know. I mean, Mason Cole, is he a 10-year, is he a 5-year guy? I think round 3 could be, hey, best player available if they don't trade. Because I think,
you got me sold on the Ohio State kid. I just watched him blow Benton off the line all day. And handle Mozzie Smith too. It'll be like the Steelers when they drafted Mike Webster in the 5th round. The Bears drafted the middle linebacker from Tennessee State in the 4th pick. And Radakovich said, I don't know what they were drinking watching the Super Bowl tape. So, I mean, if the Steelers draft Mozzie Smith or Benton before the Ohio State center. But, I don't see it happening, though. They have so many centers in the interior line, and Weidl doesn't make the draft picks.
No.
He helps put the board together. They need a tackle, and they need a defensive tackle. They need a corner or two, maybe even a wide receiver. A tight end, maybe. Yeah.
So Jim, in terms of Seumalo, so does he make Kevin Dotson expendable, both Seumalo and Herbig?
Well, I keep hearing expendable, and they're going to try to trade him. I mean,
just trading for him.
Who's going to give up a draft pick right before the draft for Kevin Dotson? Maybe after the draft they can get a 6th rounder in next year's draft. That don't care about their draft picks then, but you're not going to get a draft pick for him. I doubt it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
so I think he stays.
So he stays and he fights, and maybe that's what they want out of him, to fight for his job, lose a little weight, whatever they have been disappointed with his off seasons the last couple of years. This could change it with some, the fire and brimstone of losing your job.
I really didn't quite. I don't disagree. I'm not a line expert. I didn't really quite understand. I thought he had a pretty decent second half of the season. He was rated pretty high in PFF in terms of by the end of the year, like top 15 or 20 guard. I mean, he was killing it against Baltimore. So he had a good game there. He had a good game against Indy. If you watch the Colts game, every cutback, him and Moore were blowing up running lanes on the inside zone. And then the cutback was there, and they're getting good gains with Benny Snell. Like, they did good things, and he apparently ran like 4.8, 4.9 when he was getting ready prior. He didn't have a combine as COVID year, but he was a good athlete. So I thought there was upside there, but he never pulls, so they obviously see something that's not long-term there, and I'm okay with getting a guy that, very proven is now you're getting an above average guy at a pretty average price for a guard. Yeah, that was a win.
I love Seumalo.
Yeah.
I watched some of him. Wow. This is their best lineman.
Yeah.
They just got a great deal. Move him to center if you want, but I see him moving to left guard, replacing Dotson. I see Herbig as the swing guy, and I see Dotson fighting for his life. Kendrick Green's there in case someone gets injured. And maybe even J.C. Hassenauer is ahead of Green for that emergency center, number 10 guy, practice squad, whatever.
Right.
But so I really like what the line's doing, and now you definitely need a backup tackle. Now, I'm saying right tackle because I like Darnell Wright as a player better than the Georgia kid. What's his name again?
Broderick.
Great feet who can't block in. Everybody makes moves on him inside. And I think the rest of the Georgia line helped him out with that great stat of his, no sacks allowed or something. I think Darnell Wright's a better player, more powerful. The fact he plays right tackle means he'll be available at 17 for sure. I don't know about – I'm sorry, the name escapes me of the Georgia kid.
Broderick Jones.
Everybody loves him. Everybody tells me I'm wrong. Everybody thinks Dan Moore is the worst player between hey, I don't want to argue about Dan Moore and Chukes Okorafor. You got a player you love, and that's what you do at 17. You draft someone you love. And I really like Darnell Wright a lot. So because he's a right tackle, and I can hear them sitting at the podium on draft day telling us he played left tackle his junior year, so we're going to see where he fits most comfortably. They're not going to tell us we're going to line him up to take Chukes' job. They'll make him the swing tackle in theory. Probably get a veteran with a little left tackle just in case it doesn't, like Trent Scott. Get Trent Scott back. He's got left tackle experience. And I don't know that Dan Moore's a worse left tackle than Chukes is a right tackle. I don't know that. I know Chukes is getting paid.
Man, it's still early on Dan Moore.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Like he's had to start for 2 years. That dude, he's a professional.
Yeah.
He got better and better. I mean, John Jackson, I guess, was pretty terrible. I don't remember, early on. So I think, people look at him as a 4th round pick, and then he's had his struggles and he's no good. I got to give it. I see a guy who's gradually improving, and he plays hard. He's physical in the run game. I think the right side is there for the taking, and I think you're paying a core for $10 million, and I don't think he's really improved all that. He's still young, but he's not physical in the run game. So you get a Darnell Wright, who's only 21 years old. He'll be 22 in August, and he's got long arms. And at 330, not that I put all the stock in a 40-yard dash for an offensive line, but as soon as he took off, I was like, that's different. And then at 330 pounds, and then there's only 3 guys at 330 that have run that fast since 2003, and he was a 5-star recruit. So there's big time talent there at a very young age, and they like young kids. So those things had me like, oh, I like him or Joey Porter Jr. there at 17.
Well, my thinking on Joey Porter Jr., and I know Tama told me he thinks he's sauce.
Yeah.
Last year, when this was before he figured it would metastasize into draft talk on the internet.
Right.
So I know he liked him before last year, and then the kid went on and had a really good senior season, last season. So, but the thing is, there's so many corners that you can get at 32. I don't know that there are so many tackles you can get at 32, and tackle is a must draft because they need number 3.
Yeah,
true.
And tackles are so expensive in free agency, just like corners.
Yeah.
So they have to draft a tackle, and I think it's more imperative that they do it at 17 than 32 because there are more corners at 32.
Yep.
Right. I would just say the difference with him, like the 34-inch arm, 6'2.5", 6 Super Bowls, they had a 6'4" corner in Blount, a 6'2" corner in Taylor. So they've always had that guy, and he can play press man with that length, and so he's unique.
Have you watched Deontay Banks from Maryland yet?
Not enough. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be there at 32 though, Jim. I think he might be in play at 17.
He can't catch.
He can't catch. Okay.
Thought Ike was bad.
Yeah.
I watched Ike in practice. Ike actually has soft hands in practice. This kid, the balls clang off him. He can't catch. So that, and hey, Peasy Jr. only has one pick too. And Banks only has one pick, but the tape on Banks shows that he really fights the ball.
Yeah, sure. And it's hard to get picks when you're playing press man.
Yeah. Well, okay, but I think that'll hurt him as a first rounder. People want that DB that's going to pick the ball off.
Yeah. So Porter falls to 17, then because of that, I take it. Like it.
Well, I'm saying Deontay Banks will fall to 32, and there won't be a great tackle that will.
Yeah. Right.
That's my thinking. And if Deontay Banks is gone, Cam Smith, somebody like that. But go ahead, Jeremy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to backtrack to the tackle discussion, kind of round this out. But to the point about Dan Moore, he's still early in his career, and looking at Okorafor, I think he's entering his 5th season. We haven't seen anything dominant or anything that really popped on tape to say, wow, this guy maybe has a higher ceiling than we thought. I think we know what Okorafor is at this point. This is a second year of his 3-year deal. This is I don't want to call it a make or break camp year for him, but if he doesn't perform well and they do draft a guy like Wright, the opportunity could be there for him to be the starter. Now, on the other side there with Moore, hey, give him an opportunity. He started 2 years. He started as a rookie. He was a 4th-round pick out of Texas A&M. This could be his year where the light bulb kicks on and maybe he is dominant or because he has flashed a bit. He's flashed more than Okorafor did early on. So it sounds pretty evident. So Jim, you're Darnell Wright, 17. Matt, are you corner or are you on the tackle train? It's 17.
I have an order, but I am I can understand the tackle train too. I can't I get it. I almost would be happy. I know you think Mozzie's a little early at 32. I don't know. We'll see what happens. At Weidel and the Eagles, they took Jordan Davis at 13. They moved up to get that nose tackle type, and Smith played a lot more snaps. If you give me Wright and Mozzie Smith, and you're drafting into linemen, and you're building in the trenches, I mean, that's a win. You could pick up a Julius Brents, maybe a long corner at 49. There's options there, but I see those 3 positions.
Well, you get those 2 guys and you're ready to play the 67 Packers, right? I don't know if you're ready for the 2023 Bengals, but
the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Well, maybe I get Brents there. There's some depth there. Maybe Cam Smith.
Mozzie Smith is just so boring. I mean,
I get it.
You don't give up the easy runs. They don't give up the easy runs now.
Right. No, that's true. But I don't know. I think there's value there. And when you have a big guy that maybe you can go cover 2 and you got your nose and you can have 7 in the box and you got that guy that's going to draw a double team, maybe you're right. I don't know. I just think that they're interested. Possibly, you read
you're in Michigan. You're a Michigan guy, so I don't want to hear any more of this.
Hey, I'm into the freak athletes. You give me a freak athlete who's been a captain and works hard. I know he's had the off-field thing. That was one incident, but it's a red flag. But I can work with those guys. I put that guy next to Cam Hayward because if he's gone at 49, then who do I got? And you didn't like the betting tape.
Since you're in Michigan, you can work with him. Actually, physically, literally work with him. So that'll be your job. Let me just finish that. You didn't ask me, Darnell Wright or Joey Porter Jr. Jeremy, I predicted both on Twitter. So either way, I'm going to retweet the one I was right on.
Yes.
Right? Now, Broderick Jones is very interesting because he does have great feet and he can get out in space. I don't know that that's a left tackle's primary job. I want my guards doing that. But if they, I'm not, of course, Andy Weidel. If they like Broderick Jones and with those feet and that athleticism and that high caliber competition he's played at, okay, great. I can easily be talked into that. But personally, Darnell Wright. And I haven't looked at the 6'8" Ohio State right tackle. Matt, have you looked at him yet?
Yeah, I'm not those guys, and even Orlando Brown, I know he's a good player. And if they like him, same thing as you said, then I'm okay with it.
Mike Adams.
Right. Yeah. You know, and
He wasn't 6'8" though, was he? Was he 6'8"?
Big boy.
Yeah, he's pretty tall. I think was he 6'8"? I don't know, 6'7".
6'6".
But anyway,
Yeah.
Max Starks was an effective player at 6'6" and 3/4.
But you're playing inside and outside zone now. Can you be able to execute all the blocking schemes out there? I don't know. That's for them to understand. He needs to lose 20 pounds, and he didn't move that terribly. I mean, 5'4", Faneca ran 5'4", so like, I'm just looking at the movement skills. As long as he can execute all the blocking schemes, but maybe they don't need to with him out at right tackle. They'll know. I get hesitant on those 6'8" guys. I like guys that are 6'5" that can move a little bit, and now I can go inside out zone, outside zone, pull them, pin pull. I can do all of it, and then now I have the defense off balance. If I get a guy that's 6'8", 375, can I do it all?
Yeah.
And one more last note about Dan Moore. He's gonna look better with Seumalo at left guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
Well, this much at least can be assumed that they have improved through free agency. They have changed the way we're thinking about their approach to the draft. And before you know it, I mean, it's March 21st. We're not that far away from the 2023 NFL draft. And hopefully we can have this conversation again here as we get closer to that first round. But Jim, Matt, great stuff. Anything you guys want to add here before we wrap up the Ray May episode?
No.
Hey, I remember Scotty May. Scotty May was my greatest May. Lee May was a good baseball player too, but Ray May, come on.
Ray May. Hey, on that note, that's going to do it for episode number 59 of the Still City Insider podcast. You can check out both of these esteemed gentlemen, Jim Wexell, Matt Cecil at the Still City Insider. Give Jim a follow on Twitter at Jim Wexell. Matt, do you have a Twitter handle?
No Twitter.
Okay. I thought you were dark on. Yeah. No social media there. Check out my website, thestillstudy.com. Give me a follow at Still Study. Jim, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Matt's one of those classy dudes that just doesn't deal with social media. I admire those people greatly.
Yeah. I'm not classy. So,
well, neither am I.
That's why we make a good pair. Anyway, that's it for episode 59. We will see you back here next week for episode 60 of the Still City Insider podcast. Take care, everyone.